my fear of taking care of my family became greater than my fear of failing as a Beachbody coach. So when that fear became greater, that's when I took action and I signed up as a coach. So I kind of jumped from, boom, here I am now 4 years later, a full-time coach, and missed some of the other ones. So what I want to talk about is your story is the thing that connects you to somebody else. This training is going to be probably a little bit different than what most of you guys are expecting, and my team will know most of this stuff because they hear it all the time from me. But all of the technical stuff, like coach training, like they have the leadership ladder, they have coach basics, they have, you know, left leg, right leg, second business centers, all this stuff, and you can be like, holy crap, all this stuff, what am I supposed to do? And you never do anything at all. So my goal today is that you leave here and you start sharing your story with people, because that's how people are going to join you. That's how you're going to build a team, is when you can connect with somebody in your story. And I want you guys to know that we're all very similar. So many times, and I was this way, I was afraid of people. I was afraid of what they thought about me. I was afraid of if they would judge me for what I was doing and say I was crazy, you know, for doing this thing. I was afraid if people would block me. I got a horrid email before I even became a coach about my selfie pictures, you know. So all those things, I was afraid of people, and it was one man, Les Brown, that I was listening to, that he said, someone's opinion of you does not define your reality. So every single day, I'll just be me, I'll dance and do weird moves, even though I feel very uncomfortable, because I think in my head, like, if they think I look dumb, it doesn't matter. I'm not dumb. I'm a great person. So I think if we take those things and apply, and anyone in here, don't raise your hand, but did you look at somebody and say, that looks silly? None of us did that, right? We were all having fun. You know, so we're afraid of what people think about us. And in reality, we're all the same. We all have the same insecurities, the same fears. So realize that about yourself when you go out and share with people, that you have the same. People that you're talking to are probably just as scared about life, about paying their bills, about if they can make it through a program as you were before you started. So that was my first experience of overcoming fear. It became greater than the fear of taking care of my family became greater than the fear of failure. The next one is, so I want to teach you how I've done what I've done. You know, Success Club 10 for 48 months now. And it's something I just promised myself I'll never stop doing. And people ask me all the time, our team is now 26,000 coaches. And I look at that and I just feel blessed. I sometimes wonder why I deserve that. And so I have to self-reflect in the morning and grow a ton. And I listen to, just so you guys know, I listen to 6 hours of personal development a day, just so I can grow into that person to help lead people. So if you're doing 15 minutes, do more.
Wrap it up.
You gotta get on that. So what made me hit Success Club 10 in my first month? When I'm extremely scared, I'm shy, I've never spoken in front of a crowd, you know, I've never ran a business before. You know, I worked for a company, I did what I was told, always did more than I was told, and so what makes me think I can do this? So how did I do it? When there's all this training, what made me step forward and take those steps? And it was my story. It was just telling my story. And if you haven't read this book, I want you to read the book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. My whole business, our whole life with Beachbody is based on that book. So as you guys heard when you heard the stories today, you know, there wasn't really any training in that video, was there? It was all story, like people's stories, their success stories. There was a couple of trainings, but what part of that video impacted you the most? Was it teaching how to, like Alyssa teaching how to start coaches right? Or was it the story of the girl in the video of her doing push-ups? Right? That brought me to tears. I was over here and I'm like, man, I'm glad I don't have to talk right after this. Like you.
Yeah.
So realize that when you see those things around you, that's what moves you to take action, and that's what will move other people to take action. So my next thing is, so how did I do that? It was my story. Because I don't have any business success when I started as a coach. But the one thing I did is I told people as I was starting is, hey, you know what? P90X worked for me, and I feel great. You know, before I didn't know how to eat, I learned how to eat correctly. I had some friends doing it with me, and that was kind of cool to have that accountability and know that someone was going through the same struggle as me. You know, I lost 40 pounds in 90 days. I gained my confidence back. But the cool thing is that I found out that through my coach, Lindsay, and I'll just say she's a Beachbody coach, and what I found out is that if I helped enough people get results like I got, that my wife wouldn't have to work anymore. And then I would say, you know, I go to work every day at 5:30, and I take a nap at noon because I'm tired, and I get home at 5:30, and I pick up the kids, and I'm rushing, and I'm feeding them, and bathing them, and reading stories, and putting them to bed. And then at that time, you know, before Beachbody Coach, I play Call of Duty and drink beer, and I wake up and I do that again. And I don't see my wife except for a couple of days, and she works weekends, she's a hotel, it's always different schedule. So I know I'm not supposed to live that way, so I will help as many people as I can so that she doesn't have to work anymore. That's what I learned through my coach and through Beachbody. If I help people get results like I got, then I can bring my wife home from work, because that's how I'm supposed to live. You know, I'm not supposed to be living in this cycle I've been living in for 5 years. So that'll be the end of that story right there. So, but that was what I told people. Did I say anything about buying a challenge pack, Shakeology, you know, workout DVDs? I didn't say any of those things. But they were connected on a level of like, hey, well, in my life, I'm a single mom. I'm thinking of examples from when I first became a coach. You know, my daughter's at daycare all day, being raised by someone else, and I'm at Olive Garden as a waitress. And I didn't think I was going to live my life this way either. And heck, I need to lose weight too. Tell me what to do. So they would become a coach. So it's connecting with their story. So I want you guys to understand how important your story is. And that's what drove me. People ask me all the time, what's the secret? What does Lindsay Matway say to you that we don't get to hear? And the secret is that I was going to do whatever it took to bring my wife home from work. I don't care if I get 100 no's. I talked on a team call. I had my some neighbors and some people from my church block us from Facebook, and you know, what's Scottie gonna buy next? You know, and I'm still very frugal, but you know, I got a truck, and there'd be rumors and people talking about me, but I didn't care about that, because I knew in my heart what I was doing was helping people and improving my life, and that purpose that I had designed for my life as a Beachbody coach was right for me. It was what I was meant to be doing. So it didn't matter what other people said. And I would take as many of those I needed to help change one life. And I want you guys to think a little bit bigger sometimes than just your own life and your own goals. Like, think of what it would feel like to help somebody else do that. You know, lose the 100 pounds. One of my best friends lost 108 pounds in 8 months with a 21-day fix. You know, that's awesome. That kind of, like, I probably tear up. I'm a crybaby like that. But I probably tear up once a day, reading stories, sharing somebody's story, hearing about someone's story. And I've never felt like that at a job before. You know, I've never felt like that. I remember going to the job, walking up the stairs to my cubicle, and I sit down and I'm like, okay, when are they going to come in and tell me what I did wrong? Like, that's how I felt every single day. And as a brand new coach, even though you don't make any money and people are telling you no, and you're still trying to make it through your own transformation and build your own business, I just knew it felt so good to get a message from somebody saying, hey, I lost 5 pounds, or hey, I'm in a size 6 and I haven't been in that since 10 years ago. I was like, that is what I want my life to be. I want to wake up to stuff like that instead of what I've been doing. And just like the other story, I had a great job and great benefits and all that, so I don't downplay that at all, but I know that after helping a few people that this is what I was called to do, and I feel in my mission and my purpose is to empower other parents to do that as well. And that's what drove me, and that's how I hit Success Club 10. I realized that if I set the goal, learned to believe in myself, grew myself as a person, and just let people know who I really am, and not try to hide it up or try to be something I'm not, or try to be Lindsay, that people would connect with me. And you know, like Gina and Fontaine, like I say, how would it feel to have these people achieve their goals, like their weight loss goals? Gina and Fontaine are full-time coaches now, full-time parents, and that's enough for me right there. That could be all the success I ever get, to see one family do that, just like our family did. So understand that it's much bigger than just you, and to be able to understand and grasp that, take that note of the 6 hours of personal development. And it's not, I didn't just do that in the beginning. I listened, and I probably should have listened to more books, but I didn't really know what they were. I listened to The Compound Effect 60 times in my first year. And like, I'm a musician. We just finished our album last week. And so I love music. I love listening to music. I love playing music. But I I had to I'd listen to it sometimes, but I would listen to audios all day long at work. Instead of listening to music, I listened to audios. So that's one of the biggest things that helped me believe in myself that this was possible for me. So that was the first thing that drove me in the story. But I'm telling you guys to dream a little bit bigger, or think a little bit bigger than just you and your Success Club or your Emerald and your Diamond. I think back to a moment in my business where I realized, because you guys understand from my story, I knew I was going to bring her home, right? That was it. So you guys understand where I came from. I did not know this was network marketing. I literally thought I had to sell 300 P90Xs to make equivalent to her job at the hotel. So you know how many no's it takes to get 300 people to buy something from you? That's probably 25,000 people, right? So I was willing to go out and go through those to do that. And it wasn't until, I was 8 months in as a coach, and I was sick. I had the man cold. If guys know what that is? Okay, I had the man cold. I was out for 3 days. I was pale. I couldn't get out of bed. I wasn't really pale. I'm exaggerating, but I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to get out of bed, and I was a Friday, and my wife's like, okay, you should probably get out of bed and walk around. Maybe you'll start feeling a little bit better. When you dwell in it, you feel worse. So she's like, get out of bed. And she's like, hey, Keena's my 8-year-old. She's like, Keena's going to get off. She's going to get off of school in a minute. Why don't you walk down to the bus stop and get her? So, I got my hoodie on, looking all sick. And I walked down there, and the bus pulled up. And we live in a cul-de-sac. So the bus pulls up to the end of the cul-de-sac. And I walked, and I was halfway there, and the bus pulls up. And I remember it. I remember the squeak that it makes and the little stop sign coming out. And I saw this little 5-year-old girl step down the steps. I'm going to cry. But, I'd already missed so much of being a part of my wife's life and my kids. That Beachbody coaching was hard. Getting all those no's, for somebody that struggled with self-esteem. It was hard for me. So when I started walking down, I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes that I never have to miss another day of their lives. And I just got a text. My 5-year-old just scored her first goal in soccer. So I decided that I realized that if I just kept pushing through all the hard stuff and growing, that I could do this as a full-time coach. I didn't know how. I didn't know how all the numbers would work out, but that became my next goal. Forget bringing Gabby home from work. You love doing this, and you feel so good doing this. Why don't you make this your full-time job? And I didn't know how it was going to be possible. The numbers, all that stuff, didn't make sense in my mind. I showed up, I talked to people, hey, try this, work out, it works. So I had that mindset, but I didn't know. So it took a lot of faith to go forward, but I knew that one thing is that's what I was going to do. And I didn't know how, but I had faith that if I did the steps, followed other leaders, followed the example my coach Lindsay was doing, and other coaches on our team, that I could be there. Because it was a book called The Purpose-Driven Life that I read that helped me believe that. And it said something about, I can't remember exactly right now, so I won't even go there. But it said something that made a big impact on me about the belief in yourself, that if you don't have to know all the details on how to achieve something, you just have to have faith, and then the way to show your faith is you give everything you have, and then God will make up for the difference, is basically what it said. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the work. I'll show up. I'll stop playing video games. I'll just play music one night a week. Making all those little sacrifices, and let the universe or God, whatever it is you believe in, do the rest for me. So that was a huge part of it. And so I went for that goal, and in that day I also realized that other parents, that if I made this my life mission, I could then duplicate myself in other people, the actions that I'm taking, and help them develop themselves into what they truly want in their life as well, because I know many of us aren't doing what we like. We don't enjoy it. We do it to pay the bills. We do it to stay ahead. And so I feel that's my mission and my purpose. That's why I'm here. That's why I set a little goal for Gina and one of my coaches in Edmonton of 2-star Diamond, and I want to come out and meet your team and meet everybody, because I want to be able to, if just one of you, I want all 150 of you guys to do it, but even if one of you guys take something from this and completely change your life, I feel blessed that I had the opportunity to be a part of that. So I want you guys to know that. So you notice I'm telling a lot of stories, right? There's not really any training yet, any step-by-step training. But I want you guys to know a little bit. I'm going to jump back to one small thing that you may or may not know. When I signed up as a coach, it was so bad. Like I said, we couldn't pay the bills. It was so bad that I had to ask for forgiveness later. I signed up and then had to say, hey, I signed up. I'm going to make the money back, so we're going to be okay. So I did that. I don't recommend, if you haven't signed up yet, talk to your spouse about it. But I didn't. But I want you guys to know a little bit. I didn't have internet in my house. I had a slider phone with no internet and no data plan on it. And this is just in April 2011. We were behind times. Couldn't afford smartphones and that stuff. Internet in the house we didn't have. Any of that stuff. So my getting started, I literally, and if you might have heard this on like my YouTube channel or something, but I literally bought and sold Xboxes and laptops. I'd search all day, some of the day at work. And I'm like, oh, there's a good deal. And I would go buy it for $100 a laptop, and I'd sell it for $120. You know, I would buy and sell stuff, and that's how I got my money to sign up as a coach. And then I got started from there. I did my getting started right call and my coach training from my neighbor's house, who works from his home, because we didn't have internet. So if you have excuses on, I don't have this or that, there's a way around it if your reason to do it is greater than your excuses. So I just wanted to hit on that to let you guys know that it wasn't always just like frolicking through Beachbody land, you know, to where I'm at. It took a lot of hard things. So realize, and I think I was talking to Harry last night at dinner, I think is who I said this to. I think a lot of times we think things are hard when in reality they're not hard. If you look around the world at things that are hard, I think of like our military men that are getting shot at and away from their families for months on end. That would be hard. Like going out to somebody and saying, hey, P90X changed my life. You said you want to lose 30 pounds. Why don't you try P90X? Does that sound very hard? Raise your hand if that sounds hard. Okay, everybody. It's good. Okay. It's not hard, right? It's not hard to tell somebody, hey, this works. Try it out. So sometimes I think we have to get into that mindset and just really look at what is really hard. I can tell you that working from that cubicle for the next 30 years would have been really hard. That would have been super hard. Harder than telling somebody about, or harder than doing the exercise moves for size in front of everybody here. That cubicle, way harder. So I think a lot of times we need to get into perspective what's hard and what's not hard, what's important to us long term, what we really want in life versus what we're afraid of that's holding us back from doing that. Okay, so that was the thing that drove me. I'm going to help people do this. And you know, time progressed, and you know, I left my job at 14 months. So I've been a full-time coach for almost 3 years now. And it honestly feels like three years now. It feels like a 3-year vacation. Like, so I want you to envision sometimes being where you want to be in this business. Like where I'm right now, like going out to dinner last night with the council, being here, going to Edmonton to talk tomorrow, to do size again. You know, all of these things that we do. Does that sound like work? Like a job like we're used to having? So it does. It feels like a vacation because I absolutely love doing what I do. And I want you guys to know, I have the same insecurities that a lot of you guys still have. I have 700 videos on my YouTube channel, and someone take a guess at how many of those I've watched. What's that? One. I think I watched part of another one recently. But I've only watched 2 of them because I still inside look at myself and think, oh man, you look weird in that, or you went cross-eyed, or whatever it is. I judge myself. So I just get it out there. I just share my story, get it out there, and realize that other people probably have those same insecurities, and if they can see me just being real, then that'll give them permission in their life to go after what they want and to be real with themselves as well. So, and I share with my team. They all know that I don't watch those videos, just so that they can, you know, get out of their comfort zone with whatever it is that they're doing to move their life forward. So, the next thing I want to share is, like, when you read those accolades, they do that at Summit too, and every time I'm just like, is that really you? You know, because I was that failure for a lot of my life, and I'll tell you guys, I hate talking about money, so that's why I'm stuttering about this. Making $1 million a year with Beachbody is the easiest thing I ever did in this company, or in my life. Making $1 million a year with Beachbody, the easiest thing. Hardest thing, believing it was possible for somebody like me. Believing it was possible, because I mean, I made $36,000 a year working 12 hours a day. Like, who are you to think that you could have an income like that or make that type of impact? So I had to work harder on selling myself every single day than I did on selling a challenge pack or teaching somebody that they could be a coach. So I want you guys to know that that's going to be the hardest part of Beachbody for you guys, is selling yourself that it's possible for you to be an emerald. It's possible for you to be a diamond coach. It's possible for you to build a team. I mean, look what you guys have already done here in Calgary, right? Give yourselves a hand. That's awesome. I mean, that's incredible. You know, and we have those, you guys are all fired up from, I'm more fired up after the workout. So a little tip, all my videos are right after my workout. So if I seem a little more relaxed, it's because I'm used to teaching after I do my workout, not when I'm sitting there like nervous thinking about it. So I want you guys to know that you guys are all excited. I could feel the energy in this room. I had the chills, like watching you guys work out. I mean, in the wheelchair as well. That's inspiring to me. Seeing you guys here, the energy is incredible. But what's going to happen when you hop in your car and start driving home? I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen, because it happens to me every morning I wake up. You're going to say, like, you're pumped up, you get out there and you're like, yeah, I'm going to conquer the world, I'm going to be a diamond coach, I'm going to go speak, I'm going to have a team. You know, you have all these ideas and goals. Like Carl wants us to pick our summit and go for it. But what's going to happen when you sit in the car is it's going to be like, Scottie, you can't do that. Who do you think you are that you can, you know, hit Success Club 10 or find 8 people that want to join your team? So that's where I say you have to sell yourself harder on your vision and your goal and what you want in your life than you'll ever have to do selling anybody anything else. And many of our, you know, I shared we have 21 diamonds. In our downline coaches, we were at Cancun, and there's a picture of like 20 premier and elite coaches that are part of our team, and I was just like, holy smokes, this is incredible, you know. And I think about all of those people, and they are all so unique and different. But the one thing is that they believe in themselves, and they work harder on themselves than they do on anyone else. And I'm going to go contrary to what everybody, you probably never heard this before, but Beachbody, Team Beachbody, the 3 vital behaviors are a very selfish act. I think they are. But you can turn them into a not selfish act. So I'm going to teach you guys how I do that. So I want you guys to write this down, because if you've been a coach for a while and you're not taking the steps, I'm going to teach you how to take care of yourself first, but then how you can help other people. And you're probably like, selfish, aren't we supposed to help other people achieve their goals and dreams, right? So I got your attention now on that. Okay, first one, be proof the products work. Who does that help? It helps you. Helps you. How can you help somebody else? I want somebody to raise your hand and tell me how you can help somebody else by taking care of yourself.
Show them by example.
Yeah, show them by example. Putting it out there, like putting a photo out there that you're working out so somebody can see that you're working out and be inspired by that. So it's not completely selfish. You're taking care of yourself, your own health, your own fitness, but if you share that with the world, then you're helping other people. The next one is personal development. Who does that help?
You.
You. Only you. So Carl is here teaching us to be selfish, right? I'm gonna teach you guys how to pass that on to somebody else or pay it forward. So you're doing your personal development. Now, with that being shared about being an example or putting it out there, now how can you take that and make it not a selfish act? Doing your personal development. Share it with people. So I know so many people that write all the notes in the world. They could have like 18,000 books, but no one's ever heard their thoughts on what they learned from those books. So every time that you learn something, you should teach it. Teach it to somebody else, and that's how you can make a positive impact on someone's life. The next one, invite. Selfish, but you get to connect somebody with a program, but it helps you hit Success Club. You know, you invite people so you can sign somebody up as a coach on your team, or sign somebody up with a challenge pack to start their journey. So it's somewhat a selfish thing, but you're giving them, if you do all these other things, you're giving them the opportunity to change their life. And I know so many people that are afraid. They're like, I'm afraid, I don't know how to lead people. I would sign up a coach, but I don't understand it yet completely. And I tell my coaches that the only way that you'll fail as a Beachbody coach, because you're going to fail. Like, I've failed so many times over the past 4 years. I fail every single day. I make mistakes. I say the wrong thing to somebody. It'll happen. But you always have to own up to it, apologize, move forward, make it right. So you'll always have failures. You know, I've gone for 15-star in one business center like 18 times. I'm still not there. That's a lot of failures, right? So you have a lot of failures. You're going to face those failures. But the only way that you can really fail somebody, and I want you to take this to heart, is that if you tell somebody about this and they start and then you're gone later because it got hard for you. Because that person looks to you to be their example, and if you're gone, you leave them in the dust. You leave them alone with their goals and their dreams and all those ambitions. So I'm going to be direct with you guys here. If you're going to bring people on, you're not going to, don't worry about not being the perfect coach or have the perfect training system. I'm still trying to figure out mine, right? The best way to train coaches or hold them accountable. But just make the promise to yourself that you're going to be there for them, when they're ready. You'll be there, the continual example of personal development, continual health, and sharing with people. Because if you do those things, you'll find people that are ready for you. I don't know how many times, I shared on a call yesterday, just so you guys can understand as you start, when you leave here with a fire and you convince yourself, that thought comes in like, who do you think you are? And you're like, shut up! I'm a top coach, I'm gonna be a top coach. And you're convincing yourself and selling yourself on this, that when you're doing that and you're going out to teach these people and share with these people, that if you focus on that and you grow every single day, that people are going to tell you no right now. A lot of them are going to tell you no. People need to hear. People will tell you no 5 times before they're even open to understanding what you have to offer them. So understand that example I shared with Perry and with our team. I invited 100 people to a webinar, private message 100 people with a little thing that connected to something in our conversation. Said, hey, my mindset and everything's been changed over 4 years. Nothing about money or an income opportunity. Just my life has become better because of this. If I invited you to listen to this call, would you listen? Would you hop on and listen? 100 people. I had 3 of them come on. Half of them didn't even respond. So you guys have to understand that it takes inviting a lot of people and doing that. And then I shared with them, how many coaches we started this month, brand new coaches. And I went through the list, and I don't think one of them was from a conversation I had in the past 6 months. They were from the months before. 2 years, 3 years, 18 months of them watching me continue and be here. You guys are each sponsored, that are coaches, you guys are all sponsored by somebody. If you watch them for a year and you're like, okay, I'm getting ready to do this, and then they disappear off the face of the earth, would you join? Would you want to join, or would you have some doubts about that? People want somebody that's going to be there for them, so you have to make that decision that you're going to be that person. And the way you react to people, they can sense it even if you don't say it. If you're talking to somebody like, oh, that's not for me, and if you kind of have this smirk or this attitude about, well, why not? This is the best thing ever. You need this, and you have the attitude. They're going to sense that from you and can tell that you don't really care about them. So I just let them know, hey, that's totally cool. I understand. I was the same way. It took me 8 months. 8 months longer than I should have waited, but I'm going to be here when you're ready. I say that to every single person that tells me, no, I'll be here when you're ready. And those people come back when they're ready because they see that I continually grow as a person. I become more positive. So you've got to make that decision that this is a long-term thing for you, a long-term life change that you're going to make. So I never use notes, by the way, so you guys should feel privileged that I have some notes for you guys. Because I'm the kind that will talk for 5 hours, so I have to keep myself in line so we can be out of here when we need to. I was listening to, I better ask this question first. No, I'm just going to go with it. If it doesn't, I don't know the Canadian culture as much as mine, so hopefully this, you guys say A and all this stuff, right? A? A. Okay, so I heard this story, I listened to this story, and there was this guy, he was from the US, and he went over to Europe, and he was in a restaurant. And the waitress came over to him, they'd all eaten their meals, and the waitress came over, and he's like, hey, how many Americans are in the restaurant tonight? And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, could you check? And he's like, could you check the guest list? And can you tell me when everybody's served dessert? And then check the guest list for me. So, everybody eats, they serve dessert, the waiter goes over to the guest list, comes back, and this guy that asked the question, the American, he gets up and he walks around, he comes back and he says, I can't remember the number, he's like, there's 45 Americans in this restaurant tonight. And he's like, how did you know that? He had the guest list. And he's like, because in America, and that's why I hope this is the same here, you guys don't do anything weird with your pie, but in America, we eat the pie from the front, from the tip to the back. In Europe, they eat it from the crust to the tip. And then, he goes on to say, what other things do we do in our life that we're not aware of? And what I want to share with you about that is these thoughts. How many of these thoughts that we're not aware of that are telling you can't succeed, you can't do this, you can't do that, you don't have that talent, you're not a leader, you've never run a business before. How many of those thoughts that we're not aware of that are running through our mind every single day that we need to learn how to control and harness and teach ourselves? I'll tell you guys, even today, I have a whiteboard of has my business goals and stuff, but the top one says, you're an amazing coach. Because I wake up and say, are you sure you're going to be able to do this long term, or be able to help the team grow further and develop and mentor these people? So even I have to, when those thoughts start in the morning, I have to wake up and look at it and say, you're an awesome coach, Scottie. So I have to condition my mind to believe that what I am versus what my mind is conditioned to tell me that I am, because of all my failures. So if that could be one of the biggest secrets to my success, would be that, the ability to do that every single day, to take every challenge and say, okay, this is supposed to make me have more character or something like that. How can I use this to help the message? I wanted to compete at Summit on the Body Beast thing, and I shattered my collarbone in 7 places. So while some people would mope around and say I can't work out, I try to figure out how I can inspire somebody with that. Okay, I guess I could be more relatable now because I can't, I've been working out solid for 5 years. That's probably not relatable for somebody that hasn't. So I'm maybe I can inspire more people in this way. So take all of your tests in your life and turn them into your testimonies. Or as my coach told me, turn your mess and turn it into your message. So if your life's a mess or has been, don't be afraid to share that, because you can turn that into your message. I was so afraid to tell people that I was a missionary, and then 2 years later that I'm doing cocaine and sleeping on the floor for $10 a night with 20 other guys in the house. I was afraid to say that because I was afraid of what people from church would say about me and who I was. So once I realized that I could turn that mess into a message and people could relate to me in that way, then that's when things really started to... I attracted the most amazing people in the world. I no longer had to go out and convince people that they had dreams and goals that they could follow. That's when people connected with me and say, hey, my life's always been a mess too. I've always been looking for something to improve my life. And thank you for sharing that. I thought I was alone. I thought I was the only one who struggles like that. So when you can open up and share your struggles like that, that's what's going to help you connect with more people. And don't try to be any of the elite coaches that you see. Don't try to be me, because that's going to be icky. If you try to emulate what I do or what anybody else does, you got to be you. Be 100% you. And a lot of times you want to work on your weaknesses. Everybody has weaknesses. I got a ton. A lot of times we want to fix those. We want to fix all the problems. But what happens a lot of times if you try to fix all of your problems, then you don't develop your talents. You don't develop what you're good at. And so that's one thing that I've done. I'm the least organized person in the world. Like I said, this is my first time I've ever had notes, and I get to speak all the time. The most organized you'll ever see me right here. Some little bullet points. But if I spent all of my time trying to organize and be perfect in my I got a coach that's watch Kendra Fletcher on YouTube, and you'll learn how to organize everything in your life, perfectly. But if I tried to do that, then I would miss all the time that I have to share my story, my message, which is what I love to do. I love to share my struggles, my trials, and that's what connects people with me. So don't focus so much on the things you're not good at. Focus on we each have God-given talents. Develop those talents and give those talents to the people. And one of my favorite things that I don't remember who quoted originally, but Les Brown talks about it, and he says and I want you to think about this as you think about your talents. Write down a little note to figure out, what is your talent, what are you good at, what do you love doing. But when Les Brown shares this story, he says that, many people think the richest places are in the Middle East in the oil fields, or in Africa in the diamond fields. He said the richest place on the earth is the cemetery, where millions of ideas and books die with the people that never realized those and never overcame their fears and got those ideas out to the world. So that's why on Facebook every single day I'm sharing my personal development, sharing what I'm going through, because I want to get those ideas out to the world to help inspire somebody. So I'm going to give you guys some I want to teach, oh, that's louder over there. Can you guys hear me from right here? Yeah. It's more comfortable than that. So there's two things I want to teach you to walk away from here. So like I tend to be what my coach says, there's teachers and preachers. I tend to be the preacher. I'm like talking about stuff and stories, and then everybody leaves like, okay, what do I do now? So I want to teach you guys some things. So you're going to leave here. Remember, you got to sell yourself harder than you got to sell anybody else. That is possible for you to achieve your dreams, or your goals, or your diamond, or your elite status, whatever it is, or the next Success Club trip. The next thing that you need to do is use those 3 vital behaviors, and when I talked about how they're kind of selfish, use those as some action steps. So if you're struggling in your business right now, do your workout and post about it on Facebook. Read your personal development, write something that you learned, and teach it on Facebook. And then the next thing is just make some little system. Like once a month, I'll share a success, or like twice a month, like twice a month, I will share somebody's success story, invite them to join my challenge group. And then once a month, share somebody's coach success story on Facebook, and make an invite to learn about coaching. You know, just start that. And if you do that, you're going to start getting momentum. People will start seeing what you're doing, and start getting your message out there, your story out there, the story of other people out there, and they'll start to see that. But if you never get it out there, who's going to find you? Right? Nobody will know that you're a coach or that they can join your team. So what happens when you do that is, I'll say it for anybody that's into real estate, you own real estate in people's minds when you're consistent on posting that stuff, so that when they are ready, they know who to come to. So that's a great way to get started if you've been worried about how to run a business or run a Beachbody team. Just start doing those things. I still feel like a brand new coach because all I'm doing is the same thing I did when I first started. I tell my story, I invite people to do the challenge, they get workout, they get results, they fall in love with Shakeology, I tell them, hey, be a coach, and then I teach them that that's exactly what I did with them. So it's the same thing, nothing complex. So don't overcomplicate it. Start with those steps if you've been struggling on getting started or getting momentum. Do your workout, post about it. Do your personal development, teach it, and then invite people to, publicly on Facebook to your challenge group with a share success story. And then the other one, the invite is really invite 2 people a day. Private message 2 people a day. Just learn about their life, get to know them. When you find out they have a struggle, invite them to join. So that's one step you want to take. Is that easy enough for everybody to follow on how to get started? Okay. The next thing I want to teach you guys is, you guys noticed that I told a lot of stories up here today. So you have some action steps to take away, but the main part going away from this is you've got to develop your story. And I tend to kind of analyze, and I learned this from actually a coach that I mentored, who now I learn a lot from. If you don't follow her, her name's Brigitte Linford. She's from my hometown. We have 60,000 coaches in our hometown, and she'll be a millionaire this year as well, from the same town of 60,000 people. And now I learned from her because she's just incredible. But she analyzes people. She's an analyzer. And when I was analyzing in Cancun and talking to people and finding out, and even here with a couple people, here's what happens. You guys have some video from here. You guys have photos from here, and you're going to put it on Facebook, right? Everybody raise your hand if you're going to put it on Facebook. Okay. Get it on Facebook. Let people know that you're a coach and that there's awesome people to hang out with. Share that video. They'll be like, oh, that looks pretty cool. That looks fun. It'll intrigue people. So get it out there. And that's going to be an important thing for you to do as you go away from here. But what I found out is, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have it out there, and then, can I ask you? Yeah. So someone's going to say, hey, I saw you were at a workout or something, you guys were dancing. What is that? What would you say to me?
That was size.
That was size, okay.
It was a new program that we were trying out.
Excellent. Okay, anybody else have what they would say?
I would be like, yeah, it was a fun dance program. I really suck at it, but I surprised myself. Are you curious about it? Or do you have questions?
Awesome. Okay, so what I found was 99% answer exactly like you did. It was a workout, or it was fun, or even you could do this. But here's the thing, that was a perfect opportunity for you to share your message and invite them to join you. And a lot of times I see that that's what people do, is they don't invite people to be a part of the journey. People in Cancun even Just like, hey, what was that you were on? Oh, I was on a trip with Beachbody. It was fun. And I'm like, dude, where's the invite, man? Tell them how you got there. Tell them that they can be there with you. So you need to learn how to develop your message so that when somebody says, Kendra, I saw Gina put a post and you're a diamond coach. What the heck is that? You know? Then you don't just say, oh, it's a Rankin Beachbody. You know, because that's what the most of us are just programmed, so we just give an answer. Like, it's a Rankin Beachbody, or it's a workout from Beachbody. So you need to learn how to develop your message in your story. So my first thing is, and I talked to Perry about this a lot, ask them a question back. What intrigued you about that? You know, why do you ask me about the workout? Not in a weird way, like, so like, wait, what? You know, like say, oh, it was a fun, like you can start with that. Oh, it was an amazing workout, had 150 people there. We learned how to do some dance moves, but it was really cool. We had a little meeting, we heard some success stories, people that lost some weight, and we did this workout, and then ask them a question back. Get them, because you can be interesting and talk about it, but you got to be more interested in them. Like, what made you ask me about that? Like, find out about them. And then once they do, they're going to give you another cue that you can go off of and talk to them about what they're talking about. And then you can connect with them and share a story. So you got to become a master at telling your story and delivering your message. But it's also important that you, like here at this event, you should meet people and you should find out their story and be a collector of stories. Because like I can't relate my story to somebody that needs to lose 100 pounds. I can relate to somebody that can't buy a challenge pack because I was there once. But it's even hard for me today to go back 4 years to that point because, you know, sometimes like, I can't afford $140. Like, I don't understand it now sometimes because unless I take time to go back to that feeling of when I didn't have that and I had to sell stuff. So you need to learn other people's stories so you can say like, hey, that's totally, you remind me of so much of somebody that I met at this workout that we did, and they were just like you. They couldn't, you know, you can tell part of my story. He wanted to, you know, become a Beachbody coach like I am, and he couldn't sign up, so he went and sold Xboxes and got $100, and, you know, he paid the sign-up fee, got his Shakeology, and, you know, after a few months he had his Shakeology paid for, and he was able to bring his wife home from work. You know, there's a story that you connect with somebody. So it's important that you connect, you know, you have your story, but if you can't relate your story to somebody, that you learn other people's stories so you can connect. It's like connecting people all the time. So learn to develop your story. Now here's the basic way to do it so you can develop it when you get out of here. Actually, we're going to do something different. So write up, if you have a pen or a little notepad on your phone, I want you to write down these questions. How did you find out about Beachbody? So write that one down. The next one, like, let's go into some feeling. How did you feel before you started working out? How did you find it? How did you feel before you started working out? And then the next question, what success have you had with the program or coaching? Because I can tell you, being a leader of a team of 26,000 is not relatable to anybody. So I can't tell that to somebody when I'm bringing somebody on as a coach. I have to tell them, hey, I had a friend start as a coach. You know, just 2 weeks ago, he helped 3 people get started, and you know, they lost a total of 15 pounds in their challenge group, and he made $150. And they're like, oh, I could do that. So you got to learn those stories so you can connect. So what success have you had with your fitness or your business? And guys, remember, success in a business is even if you help somebody start P90X and they didn't even buy it from you, that's success. You're helping somebody take the right steps to improve their life. That's our end goal. So the next one after that is, so we got how do you feel before, how do you get started, how do you feel now, why are you doing this? Why are you helping people? Now that you're working on your own transformation, why are you spending time to reach out and help others? So if you guys think back to mine, why was I doing it? Because I was going to bring my wife home from work. So find out, and if you don't know why yet you're doing it, and you're just doing it to work out and help a few people, it's got to be a little bit deeper than that. You got to have a little bit more of a drive to give you the discipline to do it. I talk about, like, I sometimes wonder, why aren't people disciplined? Like, why don't they stay up late, skip their lunch break, and just do Beachbody all the time? You know, like I did. Why can't people be disciplined like that? And then I realized it wasn't discipline, it was a lack of purpose. And when you have a purpose, you're driven and pulled to do whatever it takes to make that happen. So if you're not disciplined yet in your business, you've been a coach for a while, that you need to develop your reason. You'll hear coaches call it your why. Develop your purpose and why you're going to do it. And it's going to continually evolve, right? Because if my purpose was still to bring my wife home, and we've both been home for 4 years, there's nothing pulling me because we already have all of that. So what makes me still wake up, bust my butt to do Success Club 10, make me do my workouts, make me get uncomfortable still as a leader and a coach and a person, is because I've developed into the next thing. The next thing, it was first, bring my wife home. Next, I'm going to bring myself home. This is going to be my purpose. This is what I love to do. I'm going to do it and get paid for it. That's going to be my job. The next one, man, even though we have this business, I've always worried about having a mortgage. So my next one was like, I'm going to be debt free. I'm going to pay off my home. So I always developed that thing that drove me. And you have to create a fear. Even if the fear is not there, you got to do it. Make that mortgage a big, scary thing. If you lost your job, how many of you guys could lose your home? Right? So think about those things. Get those things to scare the crap out of you so that you can have that purpose that you're driving for, so you can be disciplined in those things. And I want you guys to know what now, I love to help develop others, and they actually develop themselves by following my example, but help them achieve their fullest potential, overcome their fears, share their message. But the thing that's driving me right now, aside from that's on a personal level, is my dad just had a knee replacement surgery 3 weeks ago, because he's been on his knees fixing copying machines and fax machines, and when he started typewriters, for 30 years. And I love hunting and fishing and camping with that guy, and he can't climb the mountains anymore. So I am going to retire my parents from Beachbody. I'm going to retire them my dad from his job and let him retire in his 50s. And that's why I'm still driving this thing as if I was in my first year trying to bring my wife home, because I want that for them. I know how it's going to feel. My dad still tears up every time we take him to we got this dream cabin of mine on a lake he used to take me fishing at when I was a kid, and that was another big driver that I had before that. So it's always developing why and emotionally tying yourself to it. And if you can do that, then you're going to be disciplined. Then those things we talked about having it so hard, it's not so hard to go get some no's. It's not so hard when somebody quits on you. I had a diamond coach go to another multi-level marketing company 2 weeks ago. It happens. There'll be great employees. You guys are some of you are great employees, and one day you're going to walk away to do Beachbody full time. It's going to happen. So don't let any of that stuff bother you. You know where you're going, and you're going to take people with you that have the same values, the same beliefs as you do with you. So what I want to do, you guys wrote those all down, right? Yeah. Okay, everybody pair up real quick. This is going to be the last thing. Everybody turn to somebody next to you, and you're going to do a 2-3 minute story of how you became a coach, and so that you can practice it, and number 2, so you can gather a story. So I'm going to give you guys 6 minutes or so. So did you guys learn some stories today you can share with somebody? I know I got to hear a story over here. I heard a story from, I'll just tell you guys, I heard Perry's, I always call you Terry there, Perry Tinsley. I always, I've known him for a while. I met him in Boise a while ago, and we sat to dinner, and he told me a story. He was going to give me a 7-minute one. It was like 30 minutes, but I enjoyed it. But it was such an eye-opener to see somebody that started with this company before we had all the awesome programs that we have now, and developed into what we are, and what kind of faith it must have took to do that. So it gave me a lot of respect for Perry. But the thing that impacted me is when he was telling me his story about his wife passing away and everything that went through in his life. I was like, I love this man. For sharing that with me. It made me want to help him in some way. So you guys got to realize that when you share your story, even though you're giving them something and help them, they're going to want to help you as well. If you're just a good person and you're sharing your story and why you're doing this, people will want to be a part of that with you. They'll want you to be successful. I've had coaches come to my team that are like, I've seen your videos and I have my goals, but I want you. I had a coach recently. He's been a coach for 60 days, and he'll be a diamond next week in Salt Lake City. And I signed him up, and he's like, am I in your mom's business? And I was like, no, you're in mine. He's like, dude, but I want to retire your mom. And I was like, whoa. Look at what happens when you, he was already decided he was going to achieve his goals. He wanted to live his life in his beach body. But
share your story, people will connect with you on a deeper level, and they'll want to help you, not only their own journey, they'll want to be a part of it with you, be connected with you in that journey. So, as we go away, I want you guys to know, like I was sitting on the plane flying here, and I'm using the analogy of taking care of your needs on your own first before your kids. You guys have all probably heard that before. That's like the 3 mile behavior. But I had another thought come to my mind. I had to write it down so I could share it with you guys. I never really thought of it before, but when the pilot's on there talking, he always tells you buckle your seatbelt, we're gonna go through some turbulence. So you guys are excited, you're gonna leave here.
to the team, they come to the coach, and they say, hey, and then that's where they realize, okay, I'm not alone in this. Because a lot of times we think we're alone, like we're the only one that drops rank, we're the only one that, you know, loses a customer, the only one that invites somebody and builds a good relationship for even 6 months, and then they go buy it off Amazon. They're like, what's wrong with me? Did I do the sale wrong? You know, and then you focus on that and you stop inviting new people and you stop talking to new people. So if you're struggling like with things like that, stay connected to your community that you guys are creating here. Don't wait for Perry and Gina to say, hey, come to Super Saturday in 3 months from now. Like, make an effort to get together and spend time, go to lunch, whatever, so you can be surrounded by those people. So I just want to say thank you guys for letting me be here, and that's about it. Go after your dreams and go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scottie Hobbs, everybody.